everyone, and welcome back to the Balanced Student Podcast. My name is Aria, and I'm your host. And if you're new here, this podcast is all about helping you as a student to achieve your ambitious academic goals, but also maintaining a healthy work-life balance and staying sane, and all of that. Now, before we get any further, I know it has been literally yonks since I've made an episode. It has been way too long. I think it's actually been only 3 weeks, but the reason is because you know how a few episodes ago I said I had a new camera and I couldn't connect the microphone to the camera, so it wasn't doing anything. You know when there's just a tiny thing that gets in the way of you in a task and you just kind of put it off? I know it's not really an excuse, but that was just really mentally getting to me. So now I'm on my phone with my regular microphone and it should all be good, but I do apologize that there hasn't been any episodes for the last 2 weeks. But I do have an exciting one planned for next week, so do not worry, there will be one next week. Anyways, today we are talking about how I balance literally everything. Well, what seems to be literally everything. This is by far my most asked question on Instagram, so I'm going to unpack all of that in today's episode, all the strategies, all the secrets that I have, so that you can take all these tips and apply them to your own life and balance everything that you want to in your own life. But before we get started, I would really appreciate if you guys could give it a rating. It honestly means so much to the podcast. It takes you 20 seconds, but it means so much. It helps to recommend the podcast to so many more people. So if you're on Spotify, just go onto the main page of it and there should be a little star. You click on that, or rate this show. I don't remember exactly how to do it, but it doesn't take long. If you could, I would really, really appreciate it. And it would mean the absolute world to me and the podcast. So yeah. Thank you. And if you would like to see some more study life balance content, then head over to my Instagram at @byariaemily. Anyways, so let's get into it. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I do quite a lot. I am studying medical science full time. I do ballet and contemporary dance. I go to the gym every morning. I have this podcast. I'm a content creator. I do tutoring. I do Pilates. Yeah, there's a lot of things. And honestly, it surprises myself sometimes how I'm able to balance things, but I think I kind of figured out how I do it, and so now I can share it to you. And by the way, amongst all of that, I am also hanging out with my friends, my boyfriend, and my family, and having time to rest and relax and actually enjoy my life. I don't feel like I'm always constantly sprinting and running to get things done. And honestly, I think that part is the hardest, actually having time to rest in amongst all that. But I'm going to share with you how I do it. And before we do continue, I just have one more thing I want to say, is that you can do anything but not everything. This is something that I have to remind myself a lot. And that if an opportunity comes up, don't always say yes to it. I like to say to myself, if it isn't an absolute yes, then it's a no. If I'm not oh my goodness, I have to do this, then don't do it. It's not worth my time. If a position came up that maybe it would be cool for me to do, maybe it would be great on my CV, but it's not an absolute yes, then I know I need to turn it down, because I know that if I just say yes to everything, I will get exhausted. And I've definitely experienced that in the past, taking on way too many things. And it's just not worth it. So yeah, it really is a part of balancing it, knowing what to say yes to and what not to say yes to, and not just taking on more and more and being yes, I can balance this, yes, I can balance this, when you do have a limit. You are only human, you do have a threshold. And even if technically you do have the time for it, sometimes you don't have the mental energy and the mental space for it. You might actually have 3 hours spare in the week, but maybe you need those 3 hours spare to just rest and relax and just do absolutely nothing and have no plans or, any of that. So that's really important to keep in mind. And I think that leads me really well into the first strategy, which is to outline your priorities. There is no point in trying to balance all these things if they are not aligned with your goals and your long-term vision for your future. So I strongly recommend that you start with making a list of what your priorities. So for me, that's my family and my relationships and my health, and obviously my study, my work, and dance, and creating content and projects. So these are the priorities that I use to outline the foundation for my time. And then the next thing that I do is time blocking. This is literally I'm an absolute godsend. I could not survive without time blocking. So I use Notion calendar, and basically what I do is at the start of every week, I'll look at the following week and see what is going on. And first of all, I'll put in everything that I have to do. So my mandatory things like my classes, any family events that I have to be at, any workshops, anything else that I have to be at. And I'll put those in first. And then after that, I'll put in more of my habit things, like going to the gym every morning, having Pilates Monday, Wednesday evening, things like that. And then after that, I'll block out my social space. So that's usually a Friday and Saturday afternoon. And I'll message my friends and be like, hey, you guys free then? And we'll work out how to catch up. And then I think the last thing I do is block out my study sessions. I know that seems so counterintuitive, but for me, I feel if I block out my study sessions first, I'll just let it eat up the whole day and I won't have any time for anything else. Well, if I put in the things that aren't study first and then put my study sessions around that, I feel like it works a lot better. But that's just me personally. And also something I really like to do is color code all of my activities, and that really helps me to visualize how I'm spending my time. Like for example, I have all of my like education things, like my uni and my study sessions, all in blue, and then I've got my exercise in green, and then my social in yellow. You get the idea. And then that also helps me just visualize really easily the balance that I have. Like I know if my whole day is blue, then I know that if my whole day is dedicated to study and I don't really have any other time for anything else. Whereas if my day is a kind of rainbow, then I know that's pretty balanced. But also, something important to mention is that balance doesn't have to be just like every day. Like you don't have to have like 4 different areas of your life every day. It's, for a lot of people, it's more of a weekly or sometimes monthly thing. Like I don't usually catch up with my friends during the week just because like my weekdays are very focused, they're very work orientated, whereas the weekends I like to really disconnect and just be with my friends and family. And so my weekdays, yes, will look a bit more mostly blue and green, whereas my weekends will be mostly yellow. And I like it that way personally. And some people again like to prefer it like on a monthly basis, where they'll have a week where they have more intense study sessions and a week where they have more, it obviously completely depends on you. And obviously like also a yearly cycle, like when you have the holidays at the end of the year, that's usually when most people are catching up with their friends. Whereas if it's just before exam season, you're going to be studying a bit more, So you have to be really adaptive and adapt based on your priorities depending on what season you're in, if that makes sense. And also a benefit of time blocking is that you can see if you're taking on too much. Like if you have a to-do list and it has like 50 activities on it and you try to block that into your time and there just isn't enough time, obviously that's just too much. You just have too much on your plate and you're going to have to put it over a few days. So that's really easy to see if you're taking on too much and if you just need to schedule in some extra rest time, get rid of some of your tasks, because honestly some tasks are just irrelevant and you can cull them out of your to-do list. And the next thing that I really like to do that really helps with balance is to block some of my priorities together. Like if I'm going to the gym, I won't just do that by myself, but I'll pretty much every morning I go to the gym with my boyfriend, so that sort of combines my like relationships aspect with my fitness aspect. And then if I'm studying, sometimes I might do that with friends and that combines that as well. Like on Friday mornings, I go running with my mum and that's really good, like family time and exercise. And yeah, this helps me make sure that I'm surrounding myself with really good quality people while I'm working towards my goals and not just being laser focused on my goals and kind of being depressed in the process, you know what I'm saying? And it also just makes the whole experience so much more enjoyable. So definitely would recommend that. And it's also just really good for maximizing your time and having a more holistic approach to your time and not just knuckling in on one thing at one time, if that makes sense. My next tip is that however much time you allocate towards a task is pretty much how long it will take to get done. Like, I know from experience that I could get the same amount of work done in 30 minutes or 60 minutes, depending on how long I allocate towards it. Like, if I had an essay that I had to write the conclusion of and I put an hour towards it, it would probably take me an hour. Whereas if I only put half an hour towards it, I could probably get it done in that time and maybe have time to spare. But I think when you narrow down your study time, you can just be a lot more focused on it. Like I know if I have excess time to do something, I'll kind of sit there and be like, oh yeah, I've still got 40 minutes to do that. I'll just chill until like I've got 20 minutes left and then really stress about it. But yeah, I find that if I have the exact amount of time that I need to do it and maybe even a bit less, I can be really focused on it and get it done even faster. And this really helps when I am worried about if I'm going to actually have enough time to study, because I don't know how this works. I know there's a rule, I forgot what it's called. I always forget what the name of it's called. It's not like Parkinson's law, it might be Parkinson's law. I can't completely remember, but if it's Parkinson's law, you know what I'm talking about, where work expands to fill the time that you have towards it. But anyways, I find that the more non-study activities I do throughout the week, the more productive my study sessions become. Like if I spent my whole week on study, I would probably just have like 20% productive sessions. Whereas if I had like 4 hours a day of study, which is pretty much what I do now, like I do like 2 to 4 hours a day of study. And I know that because I'm doing so much non-study, I know that those times are going to be really productive and really focused. I'm actually going to get all my work done in those times. And I don't know if this is actually like backed by science, but I find that the shorter my study session and the clearer I am on what I have to get done, the more my brain will just automatically prioritize what needs to be done most importantly, and it will do them first and really just manage to get them done. Oh no, so when I do 2 completely different activities on the one day, like for example, if I have dance in the morning and then I have uni in the afternoon, I don't know how, but I just feel so much more focused on each thing at that time. Like if I was studying the whole day, I might be like a bit like not too focused, but because I'm doing dance and then study, I don't know, I just feel like I'm more in it when I do. I don't know if there's actual science behind that, but I have heard that there's a lot of really high performing students that are also athletes or do like a lot of physical exercise at the same time. And there's definitely science behind that. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that if they're students and athletes, they find that the athletic side of things gives their brain a break from studying, and then the studying side of things gives their body a chance to rest. So it's like a really good balance, if that makes sense. And then they end up just getting really good results, even though they're spending so much less time studying. And my last tip is to be fully present whenever you're doing something. This is something that I will be forever working on, but I just really want to make sure that if I'm doing a study session that I'm fully focused on that and I'm not thinking about something else. Like I'm not thinking about dance or thinking about my relationships, but I am just fully locked in and focusing. Whereas if I'm at dance class, I want to be really focused on my dance and like my body and everything like that. And if I'm going out with friends, I want to be really focused on just spending time with them and just relaxing and resting. You know, I don't want to let these areas of my life cross over and like interfere with one another, because if I was hanging out with friends and I was still thinking about my essay, I'm only really like half with them, you know, like my body's there but my mind isn't. And then it's kind of like, well, what's the point, because you're not really experiencing it, you know? Because yeah, and this is something that I think I always need to work on, is just enjoying life and savoring the present moment. It's something that I've definitely gotten a lot better at, but I know that unless I'm deliberately focusing on being present in the current moment, I know that my brain will be somewhere else, and then I'm not savoring the present moment, where I just really want to be present and really want to enjoy what's happening right here and right now. And that, when I'm doing that, it really just makes life so meaningful and makes life so worth living. So yeah. Okay, so those are my main tips and strategies for how I balance everything. There's probably a couple more that I haven't thought of. If I do, I will definitely post them on my Instagram. So definitely, if you're not following me over there already, go do that, because it's good. We have really good community people, over 20,000 now, which I think is really cool. Thanks, guys. And yeah, if you did find any of these tips helpful, again, please give a rating. It means the world to me, and it helps this podcast reach to more people and help more students, because this podcast is completely free for you guys. It's fully free for you to access, and I really just want to get these resources out there and make them as accessible as possible for you guys. And yeah, that is all for today. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye, guys.